Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. The new sales report this week is in, and it is not good for Bud Light. These are sales done off premises, not bars and restaurants, but convenience stores, grocery stores, anywhere else where you would buy Bud Light if you were crazy enough to buy Bud Light, and then take it out of the location to drink at home or on the beach, but not in the location that you buy it from. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from Outkick, and then we have our own direct sales report from Bump Williams with detailed information, and we will check it out. And the detailed information does matter, but a good overview from our friends at Outkick. Bud Light sales crumble, Yuengling makes huge jump, and we now have a race for America's top beer. The race is not going to be including Bud Light. The race is going to be between Yuengling replacing Bud Light and Modelo Especial replacing Bud Light, because the sales for Yuengling right now are off the hook. They are growing immensely. As much as Bud Light is crashing is almost as much as Yuengling is growing. Bud Light sales continued to plunge the week ending July 15th, dropping over 26% year over year, 1 week after some believed the grip was loosening from Bud Light, as if people would go back and start buying the beer. That's not happening. But that 26% drop doesn't tell the whole story. That's only the revenue drop. The revenue drop is nowhere near as bad as the volume drop. The volume drop for Bud Light for the week ended July 15th is 29.7%, almost 30%. And that's a comparison to the same week ended 1 year before. Again, though, these are for sales off premises, so you would buy the beer and take it out of the store to enjoy it, or in the case of Bud Light, to throw it away. When it comes to on-premises sales like bars, restaurants, they've dropped from first to fourth place, and we know that in some places, it's off as much as 70 to 90% in bars and restaurants. People are just not drinking the beer. With those kind of numbers, they'd be buying the beer almost by mistake. Sales of Bud Light were down 23% the week prior, that's by revenue, a minor improvement after weeks of near 30% declines. Unfortunately for them, it appears to be more of an anomaly with the latest data dump, and there's even more problems on the horizon. According to Bump Williams Consulting, Yuengling, America's oldest beer, is coming for Bud Light at an alarming rate. Quote, if things continue at the current rate, we'll continue to see Modelo Especial climb the ladder and Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Yuengling gain market share, said Dave Williams, vice president of the company. Yuengling, Modelo, and Coors are gaining on Bud Light. It looks like we've got an all-out arms race to be the top-selling beer in the United States. While Modelo, which overtook Bud Light as the top-selling beer in May and June, was up over 13% last week, the real story, according to Williams, is the broader picture. Modelo's market share has grown to 8.1% year to date, compared with Bud Light at 8.5%. Meanwhile, Yuengling, Coors Light, and Miller Lite are all surging at an even faster rate, up 25%, 21.6%, and 16.9%. For those who've been paying attention, Yuengling's rapid rise shouldn't come as a surprise. The patriotic beer has quickly turned into the anti-Bud Light beer since the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco began in April, subtly attacking the company on social media. There was also the perfectly timed tweet that shook the internet in April, the release of their red, white, and blue cans in May. Most recently, the Pennsylvania-based brewery Yuengling released a new ad via Instagram with Zac Brown's Chicken Fried playing in the background. That song was used by Bud Light in their disastrous commercial that debuted during the NFL draft. If these latest numbers are any indication, all of that hard work appears to be paying off for them, with a staggering 25% jump in sales. Now, breaking it down to more specific numbers, looking at the direct email from the Bump Williams people, year-to-date trends for beer are 2.5% up and 2.8% down for volume. Current single-week trends for total beer is 1.3% up for revenue and 3.6% down for volume. Again, the beer industry passed along a bunch of price increases over the last year. It worked out for the beer manufacturers, so the revenue drops and the revenue changes are not hit as bad even if they're selling less beer because they charge more for each can or bottle of beer. Bud Light's trends on a year-to-date basis are down 13.6% for revenue and down 18% for volume, actual physical beer bottles and cans. It is still the number one for revenue and volume, but it's quickly losing its edge as their bad sales weeks keep adding up week after week. Bud Light trends for the current single week are off 26.1% for revenue and down 29.7% for volume. It's a slight increase in the declines compared to the prior week's trends. However, money trends also got worse for the total beer category versus the prior week and select brand leaders. That further exacerbated the ongoing share losses for Bud Light of total beer and of the premium segment. Modelo Especial on a year-to-date basis is at 9.3% for revenue and plus 5% for volume, an improvement in trend performance versus the prior week. So it continues to grow. Modelo Especial for the current single week is up 13.2% for revenue and 9% for volume. On a year-to-date basis, total U.S. off-premises universe, which means the total amount of revenue generated of beer bought in, say, convenience stores and grocery stores, Bud Light is still the number one selling beer with an 8.5% share of the category. Modelo Especial is still sitting at an 8.1% share, and this remained unchanged from the prior week's rank. Other top brands show week by week. Miller Lite is up 16.9% for revenue. Coors Light is up 21.6% for revenue. Yuengling is up 25.3% for revenue. Corona Extra is up 0.5%. Michelob Ultra down 1.3%. Busch Light down 2.8%. Budweiser down 10%. All the Anheuser-Busch brands getting hurt by these numbers. We also know that Bud Light sales are almost non-existent on premises, meaning bars and restaurants in some geographies. It's amazing for them to lose entire states worth of business. North Carolina, South Carolina, off 70 to 90% to the extent where they are starting to lose their shelf space and they're starting to lose their position on tap, and the brand is literally dying out in those areas. Supposedly in California, sales really haven't dropped off very much. The net result is Bud Light is falling from its first to its fourth most popular beer position in restaurants and bars. And this is coming from the Union platform that gives you a source of 1,100 high traffic bar and restaurant locations with collected data that's actually very good data, showing what people are actually ordering and what they're not ordering. In these places where Bud Light has gotten so weak, a lot of the bars and restaurants will phase it out as a product altogether. They can't afford to stock, and certainly not in any big supply, products that aren't selling. I read this book a few years back, maybe about 20 years back, Sam Walton's Made in America, where he talked about how the customer was always number one at Walmart, and I just listened to it again as an audiobook recently, highly recommended by me and highly recommended on Amazon, because he talks about respecting what the customer wants. All the decisions they make, any consideration at Walmart, the only way they were ever able to build their business from nothing into such a massive retailer was the 100% total focus on pleasing the customer at the expense of everything else. Except, of course, they did treat their people decently. A lot of people who worked at Walmart, even just managers, associates, became millionaires, but their focus was take care of the customer, figure out what the customer wants. Obviously, at Anheuser-Busch, they're not thinking about what the customer wants. They've completely disconnected themselves from trying to serve the customer and keeping a happy, satisfied, loyal customer. How could you possibly be loyal to the brand when the brand is changing their identity so radically from something that we all knew was normal and expected for decades to then change it up to be Dylan Mulvaney's beer, where yes, if you're attracted to Dylan Mulvaney and you want to jump into a bathtub with Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light is for you. If not, it's not for you. And how could you ever sell things to people when you're not offering them things that they want? Even if the idea, which I'm starting to think was the plan, to let their Michelob Ultra brand continue to grow, become the number one brand in America, while Bud Light was then given to the young liberals as a brand to celebrate transgenderism and whatever else it was that they thought they would do. And they figured, hey, we'll only hurt the brand a little bit and we can just kind of force this out with our propaganda, but we'll make our money off of Michelob Ultra, so it won't really matter. Whatever it was they were thinking, if they knew their customers better, they would have known it was impossible to do that. And if they were focused at all on their customers, when they saw how bad the backlash was, they would have come out, publicly explained what the situation was, which they still have yet to do, so they can show some respect for their customers and they could apologize to their customers and maybe even keep some of their customers. But the sales report shows that they're not keeping those customers. And even with all the multi-million-dollar promotions, all the advertising, all the rebates, all the discounts, all the free beer, it's not working and they're losing their business. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Were you surprised to see that it's yet another week of Bud Light getting absolutely destroyed in the sales? Or did you expect this was going to be happening? I'm going to continue covering this story. I'm going to give you all the information, but I would love to know what you think of the information. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.